everybody. It's Jeff Antoniuk here from Jazzwire. Welcome to the guided listening this week. So this week, one of the most famous albums of all time, Kind of Blue, Miles Davis, and we're going to listen to the tune Blue and Green. And for some of you that have listened or studied really deeply, you may know what I'm going to talk about. For many of you out there who have listened to this song 200 times, I've got something new to tell you about this tune, I think. Before we jump into it, the Summer Summit, the Jazzwire Summer Summit. We have a virtual session and an in-person session. That's coming up July of 2023. So if you're watching this in real time, it's February. That's way out there. Here's the thing. We haven't even opened the website and we are half booked up. So yeah, that's going to happen. So visit the website, jazzwiresummit.com. And if you visit it like right away today when this releases, it may not even be, kind of up and ready to accept your registration, but you can email us. We can hold you a spot. Guitar spots are gone. Guitar spots are booked. So you can join our waiting list if you're a guitarist, but that's how fast this is going to go. So it's going to be July, I think it's 14 through 16 is the virtual session, which is great for people around the country and around the world. And then the in-person session here in the Washington, D.C. area is July 19 through 22nd. Jump on a spot quickly, save a spot. Okay, so let's talk about this great song, Blue and Green. Now, if you open the real book, if you're a jazz player and you look at the music, it may say Miles Davis up there as the composer. We all pretty much understand Bill Evans wrote this thing or had a huge hand in writing it with/for Miles Davis. It's a beautiful tune. I don't have to tell you that. You're going to hear right away. It's 10 measures long, which is interesting because most songs are written in 4-measure phrases. It would be 8 measures long or 12 measures long or 16. So 10 is just kind of weird right away. Not a lot of 10-measure tunes out there, but The Beautiful Ballad Piece by Horace Silver is another example. Not the same form, sort of the structure within the 10 measures is quite different, but 10 measures. There we go. So that's interesting. As a more novice or even intermediate or even semi-pro player, a lot of folks get really lost in this short 10-measure tune because it's a circle is the way I think about it. And very often the end of the song creates a big tension to take us back to the beginning of the song. Not so with this tune. It just sort of keeps going around. So we could talk about the theory and the harmony of why that is. And, the answer is there isn't a big fat dominant chord at the end taking us back to the top. So it's this series of minor chords near the bottom of the tune and minor chords near the top of the tune. It just kind of keeps going around. So it is really actually quite challenging. It's quite brilliantly written because it does have this impressionistic quality. I sort of liken modal music and this kind of stuff to Impressionism. I'm not the first guy to do that, but Berlioz and Debussy and Monet and the idea of blurring the edges of things and not having all the harmony being so functional, not having every bit of paint on the canvas being functional. Oh, that's the person's hat. That's the sign there. Not always, right? So that's kind of an interesting way to think about it. If you haven't thought about this album and this era of jazz as being linked to Impressionist music of the late 1800s, classical music, and Impressionist painting, check it out. There's some great similarities. So we're going to jump into this thing. So what I'm going to tell you ahead of time, because it'll be a little hard talking over the music, how do we put this? Not the feel. The feel stays consistent all the way through the tune, a ballad feel. Lots of times on a ballad, jazz musicians will play a double time feel. The song's going by 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'll imply 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So they're implying it's going twice as fast, but it's not. The song is still going by at the ballad tempo. Here's the thing. On this tune, they do a true double time. In other words, the form of the song, the harmony, the 10-measure phrase literally starts going twice as fast, but the feel doesn't. It's the exact opposite of what we might normally do. So it's a true double time. I can't think of hardly any songs that do that. There's big band arrangements, but as far as, small group stuff, that's atypical, way atypical. And then if we were to go double time, we would do a double time feel. We would change the feel, but these guys don't. They keep the feel relaxed as the pace of things goes faster. It's crazy. It gets crazier. They do quadruple time, or they double the double already. So I don't think we call that triple because it's 1, we double it to 2, they double it, so 4. Somebody can help me out with my arithmetic here, but I want to say it's quadruple time, right? So the form starts going by really fast, but most of us have never realized that because the feel stays the same. And we're connected to the feel. Maybe you're not hearing all the chords going by faster or slower. But so I'm going to let you know when those moments are. So we hear the melody, we hear a nice little intro, the melody, we hear Bill Evans solo, we hear Miles play first, I think, then it's Bill Evans on the piano. Then Coltrane plays. I think Bill Evans comes in again a little bit after Coltrane. So we don't hear Cannonball on this tune. And, just one of the all-time classic performances. It's Jimmy Cobb on the drums and Paul Chambers on the bass, Bill Evans on piano, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. Let's dig into it. So just bass and piano, taking moments from the song, but they haven't really started the topic exactly. And Miles's sound, his sound in the mute, right? Harmon mute. Gives it kind of that buzzy sound, that Miles kind of sound. And now, if you listen to the drums, it's brushes, right? We're not even really hearing the hi-hat. It's this wonderful pillow of sound, that legato sound underneath. There is time inside it, but it's not very insistent. The time, I think, is coming more from the bass. We heard a really great fill there, but it's mostly half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And there are embellishments to the half notes, but he's thinking half notes and adding to that on occasion. 2, 3, 4. So that's our pace of the tune. 3, 4. This is the second time through the melody. And Miles is being very loose with the melody. 3, 4, 1, 2. And now here, the song's going by twice as fast now. It's going by 1, 2, 3, 4. Next measure. 3, 4. Next measure. 3, 4. Next measure. 3, 4. Next measure. 3. So it's literally going by twice as fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. And how do I know that? I can hear the chord changes changing. They're literally just things are going by the window twice as fast. 7, 2, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2. Here's the top. John Coltrane, and still we're in this double time pace. Listen to the drums. It didn't really change. It didn't really expand or get more energetic. Still brushes. We've heard a tap on a cymbal, I think twice. Like a tap, and that's it. It's all brushes. And again, the song's going by twice as fast, but the feel is still that half note feel. Technically, they're whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 in the bass, right? 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's quadruple. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. But when we hear it, it's relaxed. So now Miles, 2, 3. It was a little mysterious there, but he shifted it down to single time. We went from quadruple time back to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, too. Fascinating, right? And you may have listened to this song honestly for decades and decades and maybe never really noticed what was going on. And I wouldn't blame you because, again, the feel stayed the same. Feel meaning the pace of the bass, the pace of the comping, the pace of the drums. Very interesting. I can't think of another song in small group history that does anything much like this. And so now the mathematics and arithmetic aside, Miles. Man. Playing a note in those little bends, just how vulnerable it sounds, right? That's a word a lot of people use. Miles playing a ballad. He whispers, he yells at you. You know, it's all there. So dynamic. And here's the end. And so now Bill Evans is kind of playing rubato quickly through the tune. And we can hear on the bass, bowed, low notes. So he's following Bill Evans. Bill isn't in time at this point. Paul Chambers is watching his hands, looking at him, trying to follow him. And a hit on the cymbal. That's one of the few hits on the cymbal on this entire performance. Incredible. Wow. So it's just a landmark performance. This album is so important. It's, you know, it sold so many. So just a jazz album that actually sells a bunch is amazing. How important it was jazz history. It was one of the first modal jazz albums. It's celebrated as the big one. But Miles's album before this had a lot of this kind of stuff in it. So it's, you know, it's an important album and it's great. We hear it in soundtracks. We see that album cover, you know, in movies, you know, in a Clint Eastwood movie or something. We see that. It's iconic, and the performances of it are as well. And just what a strange thing happens inside this tune where the song literally starts going twice as fast and then 4 times as fast, but the feel doesn't change. So it's such a subtle thing. And I've read a couple books. There's a couple good books on this recording session. And I don't actually remember the discussion on sort of how that happened or, you know, sort of what that was about, because it's such a subtle thing. If they really wanted to create the energy or make things move twice as fast, there was a much more obvious way to do it, have the feel follow. So to me, it's fascinating, and it's such a subtle little thing, but it's very important. When I play this with really great musicians and I call the tune, they're like, "So we're going to do the double time thing," and you know, every once in a while there will be a musician who's not quite sure what we're talking about, and it's like, "Yeah, no, we'll, you know, do that another time." So plenty of people just play the song single time, the way Miles was soloing over it, and it's beautiful. The double time thing is interesting. So there you go, a little insight into one of the most popular albums, popular songs, maybe in, you know, lots of jazz history. And I hope that was sort of news to some of you. And the idea of how subtle it was, and we had to be hearing the chord changes to catch it. So the idea of, you know, kind of really listening past the groove, past the feel, past Miles and Coltrane's sound, past the beautiful notes they're playing. There's so much. And then behind the scenes, there was this cool thing that was happening. So go back and listen to it and see if you can hear those moments when it shifts ahead. Best way to do that is listening to the bass, I would say, because the bass is the clearest indicator of when things change. All right, everybody, hope you enjoyed it. And as I was saying, check out jazzwiresummit.com. It's, you know, it's months early, but this is actually our 20th celebration, 20th year celebration. I can't believe we've done this thing for 20 years. It keeps growing. It keeps getting more popular. We already have people coming from all across Canada, across the United States, from Europe. It's going to be fantastic. So grab one of the spots now while you can. Enjoy some Miles. I'll see you next time.